You're listening to the Teach Better Talk podcast featuring expert educators eager to share progressive tactics to reach more students. Teach Better Talk is created by teachers and fueled by passion. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 172 of Teach Better Talk. My name is Ray Hewart, and as always, I'm with my very handsome friend, Jeff Gargis. Jeff, how are you doing today?
Feeling good now. Thanks for that. That's awesome.
I try. I mean, we're recording on a Wednesday, which is a little abnormal for us, and I just appreciate that you showed up, you had your coffee, and I mean, you're dressed just like most of us are during quarantine. It's fine.
So it's a little abnormal for us to record on Wednesdays, so it's also abnormal for you to compliment me in any way. So that's good. It was a good fit.
It was a good backhanded compliment because I did say that you were dressed like, we do during COVID-19, which doesn't say much, but I'm in a sweatshirt for the first time ever on the planet, so it's fine.
I'm always just dressed whatever's comfortable, so it's good. I'm good with that. So
I am wearing this sweatshirt every day for the rest of my life, so I'm in love.
Ray, where did you get the sweatshirt?
I know, guys. I know this is super lame. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see my cool sweatshirt. Otherwise, if you're just listening, you're missing out. You got to go look it up. But I am in a Better Today, Better Tomorrow new Teach Better sweatshirt that I got over on our swag site. And I don't know why I waited so long to order it, but this made my entire day. I've been tracking the package for a week as it came for all over the country to be delivered to my house. I also have a white t-shirt that I got as well. And I'm very, very happy today.
Nice. So teachbetterswag.com for all of that, by the way.
That's
what you want to grab.
Jeff,
what?
I know that we did a 25% off giveaway during Teacher Appreciation, but can we give our podcast listeners, even though it's after the week of Teacher Appreciation, can we give them a 25% off anyway? I should have to do that before we start recording.
I appreciate teachers every week. So yeah, let's do that. How about just use the code. Let's make it as easy as I always do. Podcast Talk.
Yeah.
Use that during checkout. We'll knock off 25%. So teachbetterswag.com. Look at that. That's fun. That was unplanned. I like it.
Hey, and they can also get a hashtag Team Ray shirt. So in your order, you could get a sweatshirt. There's a bunch of different sweatshirt options. There's a lot of different mug options, water bottle, laptop case, and hashtag hashtag Team Ray t-shirt is what you want.
I like it.
Yeah.
Whatever. Just so you're aware, if you're listening, you're like, that doesn't sound very appealing. There are hashtag Team Jeff shirts as well. So
yeah,
choose wisely.
If you want to be that guy.
Anyway, let's do a hashtag Team Kevin real quick. Can we highlight someone?
Yes. Kevin Butler is who I am so excited we're going to talk about because that guy came out of nowhere when he originally submitted to the Teach Better conference. By the way, when I say he came out of nowhere, I mean that I had been following him for a really long time on Instagram. But he came into the Teach Better family via submitting to the conference. Which, by the way, our proposals are open, so you should submit to the conference as well. But he should submit it to the conference. I remember looking through proposals and seeing his name. And I'm like, that's the Kevin Butler. And then he's been in our family ever since. We got to meet him last year. He joined our speakers network. And dude, he was just on the Kelly Clarkson show. It's super cool.
I know. Something that got me right away from Kevin is you had talked about him. We saw his session proposal. We looked at it. Obviously, we were excited to have him out, but I hadn't met him. He showed up the night before when we were setting everything up and getting it. And he just walks in and he's like, hey, I'm here. Do I need to check him? I'm like, oh, no, dude, tomorrow. And he starts carrying stuff, moving things around, and he helped us all night long. I'm like, man, he was in the family right there and then, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
And then, now with the speakers network and everything like that, super excited to have him in. So
I'm really proud of myself because I fangirled out over Kevin Butler the entire conference to the point that he actually asked me to stop calling him Kevin Butler. He goes by Kevin, in case anybody was wondering. He doesn't go by his full name at all times.
I like it.
But now when we found out that, he's kind of really in the family, I think he's the coolest thing since sliced bread. So I'm a fan.
Awesome. So can you, for everyone listening who doesn't know Kevin, can you share how do we go follow him? Where's he at? What's his handle? Where's the best place? His space is Instagram.
It is.
He's on Twitter. I think he got back on Twitter after the conference actually. But he's on Instagram and I believe it's at the Kevin Butler?
It is at the Kevin Butler. He is posting on Instagram like crazy. He actually gives away a ton of stuff to teachers. He did just give away Starbucks to teachers yesterday. I saw that for Teacher Appreciation Week. But just a really good guy. He's in the classroom, but he's also has his foot in administration as well. So he's just doing a lot of curriculum support for educators and professional development. He's a perfect fit for our Speakers Network because he's constantly finding ways to just help teachers be a little bit better. And I was so excited for him. And I was so thrilled because of the work he's doing with remote learning, he actually got acknowledged and was able to be featured on the Kelly Clarkson Show. And if you're going to celebrate any fabulous educator on the Kelly Clarkson Show, Kevin Butler would make my list. Absolutely. So I am so proud of him. I'm just so excited for him, and I'm proud of him. And I'm feeling very blessed to be connected to an educator that's just truly doing what's best for students. So in my opinion, he's a must follow, super easy, great guy. And he's like legitimately the nicest guy in person.
He is. And something that I just love about it, he's so passionate. He goes above and beyond every single day for his students and does a lot of engagement. I mean, transforms the classroom, costumes on the table, everything like that. So that's a guy who, when you shift to virtual learning, that's a tough switch because he does so much in that person. And I remember when we first switched, he was bumming, missing his kids, but he so quickly flipped to bring the same energy virtually to his kids. It's just, you got to go follow him and just awesomeness to watch that journey. So that's great. I love highlighting people. This is our podcast just needs to continue to be this all the time.
Hey, speaking of, if you're listening and you want us to highlight a teacher, either by bringing them onto the Teach Better podcast, who we'd love to do, by the way, or if you just think that we should give them a shout out because they're so wonderful and you want to kind of amplify the amazing work they're doing, just DM us. You could tweet at us, and I love that you guys do that, especially during challenges and book giveaways. But if you just want to send us a direct message and say, hey, this is a colleague that I work with and she's not even on social media, but she's doing amazing work, we'd love to kind of give them a shout out.
We'll do that. That's awesome. I love that. I would like to do that and give some shout outs.
I'm full of good ideas. Did you know that?
You are full of good ideas.
I'm really full of good ideas.
Speaking of good ideas, having this guest on this podcast was a good idea.
Also my idea.
Also your idea. Go figure. So Dr. Shamaine Bertrand is an assistant professor of elementary education at your school,
alma mater.
State University. Your alma mater, I guess, not your school. I consider you as the owner of that school. She works with teacher candidates, and she teaches and helps them experience teaching in a racially and socioeconomically diverse classroom. And she's also the co-founder of the Equity and Diversity cohort at her university as well. And she's a consultant. You've actually got to sit in on PD that she's run. She's got a brand new podcast that is launching tomorrow. If you're listening to this on the day to come out it's launching on May 15th. So you got to check that out as well. We talk about that. We talk about how she has shifted now in how she prepares her teacher candidates now during remote learning, and how she's looking at what the fall is going to look like, and how that's changed the way she teaches and the way she looks at things. I just love diving into her head, the way she looks at things, the lens that she puts on everything, and the angles that she looks at, and she's so much fun. It almost hurts. It almost hurts. She's just your face hurts a little bit because you just laugh and you smile, and she's just so much fun. I love that she's a part of our family now, and I'm just. This was a great episode. Ray, I know you could probably talk for a few hours to add, but can you add anything else small?
I just love those podcast episodes where we giggle a lot and my cheeks hurt after because I'm smiling. I think she's so full of energy. I love people that kind of ooze that awesome energy. And even through an audio, you're going to get so much happiness from this and amazing takeaways, by the way. So enjoy this. This would be one for me I'd listen to twice personally.
I love it. With that, let's get to episode 172 with Shamaine Bertrand.
Hey guys, we'll get right back to the episode, but really quick, I want to highlight the webinar series that the Teach Better team is offering over at teachbetter.com/webinar series. And did I mention, y'all, it's free. So you can join myself, Chad Urshowski, Mandy Freilich, Kevin Butler, and Jennifer and Hans Apple as we dive into educator mental health, remote learning essentials, the grid method, engagement, and so many other elements that can support you to be better at a distance. And you can go register right now at teachbetter.com/webinar series. All right, I've told you enough information. Let's get back to this awesome episode.
All right, we are here and we are chatting with Shamaine Bertrand. And Shamaine, it is so awesome to have you on. We just recently brought you on to the Teach Better Speakers Network, which is so awesome. Super excited about that. So we got to, you've been connected with Ray for a while. I got to connect with you and chat with you, and we had a blast last week, I think? I don't know when it was. And now we got you on the podcast, which is great. So super excited to just have you in the family and a part of what we're doing. And it's really exciting. And now I'm excited to kind of dive in and learn more about your story and kind of pick apart your brain a little bit in this episode. But before we get too far into that, how are you feeling right now?
I'm surviving and thriving. I'm trying to thrive right now. I'm feeling good. How about yourself?
I'm feeling good.
I'm feeling awesome. I'm so excited that you're here because Jeff kind of hit the nail on the head. You're like family. I mean, you're a part of our Teach Better Speakers Network. I feel like, we bring people on. I love to hear people's stories, but I'm so interested in actually learning more about you because we've been connected for a while. And I've actually gotten to be a teacher learning from you for quite some time. So I'm just excited to continue to learn from you in this episode. Before we get into all the good stuff, would you mind kind of sharing what you do? I mean, I know that I have a lot of different pieces that I want you to highlight because I've gotten to learn a ton from all that you do, but can you kind of tell us what you do for education?
I actually am an assistant professor of elementary education. So in that role, I prepare prospective teachers. I prepare the next generation to go into the classroom and teach. And one of the focuses of my teaching and the way that I prepare them is centering equity. In addition to that, I'm a former fourth grade teacher. So I kind of use my background in being an elementary or previously being an elementary teacher to help guide the way that I instruct right now the pre-service teachers. And in addition to that, I have started consulting. So I help schools in districts form a way of centering equity, looking at some of the curriculum, looking at the things that they are implementing in their buildings and making sure that they're reaching all students, especially students who we have labeled marginalized, brown, Black, and students from poverty.
Okay, and guys, she is so good. I know we're going to talk about this, but I have sat in, I'm serious, I've sat in on sessions that you facilitated, and every single time I have texted Jeff being like, she is so good.
I can confirm that this is true. It's exactly how it happens. So I'm interested to hear, I know within your class you do a lot of getting your pre-service teachers into actual hands-on real life experience, which is a task in itself and really awesome. But I'd love to kind of, if you could maybe tell us how that program normally works, but then now I'm interested to hear how has that shifted? How has that program just in general, how has your teaching to these future teachers shifted now with everything going on with COVID-19 and coronavirus and school closures and things? Can you kind of share where things are at now?
Yeah. So when I originally came to the Midwest to be a professor, I knew that I was coming here. I knew I had goals. I actually didn't know kind of where the town was. But they fly you in, you see the college town, but I didn't know it was literally in the middle of nowhere. So I get here and I'm like, you know what? How am I going to really make an impact the way that I want to? Because my goal was, again, to prepare pre-service teachers for teaching Black and brown youth, for marginalized youth. So I was like, how am I going to make this happen? I actually found a district not too far away, I'll say 60 miles away, where I was able to co-develop with another colleague a equity and diversity cohort is what we call it, where we would center equity. We would teach our white pre-service teachers, because that's predominantly who we have in our classrooms, how to support Black and brown students in the classroom. And so I was doing this work. The teachers, candidates would be in my classroom for 2 days out of the week. They would be in the schools 2 days out of the week. And it was a wonderful situation until COVID-19 came. And so now all of this is looking very different. I actually just finished talking to my colleague this morning about how are we going to now, if nobody has called anything as far as the university. So we're pretending like we're going back to class in the fall, but what happens if we don't? And so now we've been having conversations of how can we get those same experiences to our students without them actually being placed in schools, because I don't know if schools will even welcome pre-service teachers in right now, especially without vaccinations and things of that nature. And so as we're thinking about this shift, we started to think about, okay, what is the most important thing for pre-service teachers to gain right now? And we looked at the data from previous semesters, and we both agreed that the thing that we want them to get is not just be able to sit, get, and spit and forget. So like give the information, give it to us on like a report or an essay or something, and then forget about it. We want them to actually be able to just apply this into their everyday teaching. And so we looked at it and we said, well, the thing that we really want them to get is how can they be effective in the classroom, in diverse classrooms. And so now we're looking at projects that will be able to send that message to them, projects that will allow them to get out into the community, even if it's driving through communities to see what they're like and how they are, and being reflective of their identity and how that may help, how that may hinder them in the classroom eventually. So how they can do some work on their heart and their mind so that it can become more culturally responsive. So we're thinking through those things. There's nothing definitive yet because we're hoping to go back into the classroom in the fall, but these are just things that we're brainstorming right now.
How much of an impact has it had on you, like as a teacher? Has it been a tough transition to go from in the classroom to now virtual? Like where are your struggle points and where are you at? Sort of, are you kind of in this new normal like period right now? Or are you still trying to figure things out? Like where are you at on that journey?
The semester is over, so I think that my time of figuring things out has expired. However, I'm going to go. However, I'm going to go backwards. I was already teaching one online class, but there was actually a face-to-face class that I had, which is first semester of the junior block. So this is the first class that the students take in the program. And so this class has to be face-to-face. Like you have to teach it in the classroom setting. And so up until spring break, life was good. And then after spring break is when I had to then take this class that we usually do lesson planning and we talk about classroom behavior support and do projects around that, and now move that class online. And so that has been a big challenge. It has been a big challenge in a number of ways because teaching someone how to write a lesson plan without physically being there. I'm a very animated person. My energy comes from people in a room. And so it has been extremely difficult, I think, for my students to grasp. But at the same time, I think that they are wrestling too with what's happening around them. You know, some are losing family members. Some are in fear of just being in a pandemic. So there's anxiety there. So there is difficulty with learning anything right now. So it has been a challenge. It's one that I can say that I have overcome. I had to acknowledge that I needed to extend grace to my students. I needed to extend grace to myself because I had to switch my mindset that things are not going to go the way that I intended them to go when we had face-to-face interactions. So I had to change the way that I was seeing schooling and learning and teaching.
Yeah, and what a great way to, or a great mindset to have of how, and to model that for your next wave of educators to see that you had to adjust to that too. They not just them as students, but you as a teacher as well. So, in grace, we're hearing that word a lot, and that is, I think that's everyone's new one word for 2020 is grace, given for ourselves, for our colleagues, for our leaders, for our community, for our students all around. So, so one of the things that we talk about on this podcast a lot is failure, and I always talk about the fact that I feel like I'm very fortunate to have failed a lot in my lifetime because all of those failures, all those stumbles, all those challenges have got me to where I am. They've taught me what I know, and I learn from them still, years afterwards. So I'm hoping you can share a story with us about a time that you've had a failure or a challenge or something you had to overcome. And kind of share with us what happened, how did you overcome that, and what did you take away from that experience?
I just want everybody to know that this is a part of my life. Like I fail and get back up all the time, but I can remember in teaching, especially elementary ed, my first year teaching, I was really excited. I had a teaching job in Virginia and Northern Virginia, and I was in a teacher licensure program where you can also get your master's degree. And this was during No Child Left Behind. So it was time for student teaching. And I honestly just couldn't afford to do student teaching and survive and live. And so the rule or the law was that if you could find a school that would give you a provisional license, then you can, all of your student teaching will be forgiven. So I went out and I looked for a job, and I actually applied to a Title I school, a school that had 85% of the students that were receiving free or reduced lunch. I applied to this school, and at the very last minute, I got the job. So I became a fourth grade teacher. And this school was right smack dab in the middle of the hood. I mean, very racially diverse, socioeconomically diverse. And as I was teaching in this school, I was using things that I had learned along the way as just being a student, because I grew up in a very similar community. And so I was teaching, I was doing my thing. The students were succeeding. I mean, it was a wonderful school year. So that was year one. All of my students, everybody passed their SOLs. That was their end of the year testing. And so everything was great. The next school year, I come into the classroom and I thought that I could use those same strategies and techniques. And I did. And what I realized is, wait a minute, these students they're not responding like my other students. They're not performing the same way. Like what's going on with them? That was the word. What's going on with them? Why aren't they learning? Why are they responding like this? Why are they failing? And I got through probably about not even that late. It was probably about November. And it's right before Thanksgiving, and we're having parent-teacher conferences. And I started to realize, wait a minute, if all of your students or the majority of them are not doing well, it can't be them. Something has to be going on with you. And so I had to really be reflective. And I took the whole winter break. And I know that was a lot of time lost for my students, but I had to take the winter break period from November all the way to December and in between. And I had to think about, okay, what am I going to do differently when I come back in January? Because it can't solely be the students who have an issue. There has to be something going on with me. And so I started to think about that. I came back in January. I started changing my approaches. And the thing that I learned is every child is different. They learn different. They have different needs. And you would think that I would know that, but I really didn't realize, because I thought that I was so dynamic as a teacher in the beginning. I'm giving myself a lot of credit right now. I thought I was so dynamic as a teacher that it was going to carry into the next year. Like I could just do the same things over and over. But I learned that I have to change my strategies every time, or my technique. I have to get to know the students. I have to build relationships. And I have now carried that into even being a college professor. So this has just now become a part of my life, is that in order to teach someone, you have to know who you are teaching.
That's so unbelievably true. And I feel like I've not only heard you say that in our conversations that we've had, but also in the training that I was able to be a part of that you facilitated with my staff, is just this idea of truly getting to know our students and us only being able to serve those that we understand and know and take the time to really get to know at a deeper level. I love this whole message, and I really enjoy not only hearing the stories of what you've gone through, but also that this really is a continuation in every element of support that you provide to teachers, whether they be pre-service or in the classroom right now, or even just talking on a podcast. I think it's so great that you continue to have this push for us to be authentic and really understanding who is sitting in our classrooms every day.
Absolutely.
So when it comes to the work you're doing, it's amazing stuff. I could go on and on about the activities that I love that I was just getting to be a part of. We could talk on and on about the impact that you're making with your pre-service teachers. But where does this come from? What is really keeping you excited about what's going on in education and all that you're doing?
I think I look back to my own education and my schooling experience. I am from a small town called Lumberton, North Carolina. Actually, the population has grown. It is now a city. So I am from Lumberton, North Carolina, and I had a great experience in my early elementary years, I believe. I think that my teachers were they were effective, and there was something about them because, again, being raised in a predominantly Black community, low income community, I think that my teachers did an amazing job with trying to instill in us that we can become whatever we want to be. My grandmother repeated that to me. My mother repeated that to me. My granddaddy. So like everywhere around me, I kept getting these messages that you are going to be successful. You are not going to be here in the hood. You're going to move forward and you are going to go forth in excellence. And so I started to think about that and the impact that has had on me throughout my life. And so I want to take that and give it to other people. And I started as a fourth grade teacher who was giving it to my students, letting them know that, listen, you could be whatever you want to be. I am going to give you the tools that you need to help you become successful. I need you to value education. I'm going to show you how you value education. And I'm also going to show you the game to getting ahead. And so I started doing that with the fourth graders. But then I realized, well, wait a minute. I can have a greater impact if I don't just deal with the students, but if I go and educate the pre-service teachers who will one day be the teachers. So if I can get them to see how they can cultivate these different qualities in children, then it will be an amazing situation. And I think I could have a bigger or larger impact or a greater impact. And so that's what my focus is. And I think that I can just say that I got that from my experiences in schooling. And I don't want to say that every experience in schooling was positive and great, but I choose to focus just on the positive ones because I think that they contributed to where I am today.
Oh, spot on, spot on. You know, I completely think this question is like comical to ask you because you must give advice all the time between the trainings that you're doing and working with future teachers and being an educator yourself. I mean, I don't know how you're going to pick this, but question 5 always deals with one piece of advice. And we're talking about one piece of advice. This could be to any teacher listening. It could be a brand new teacher who's maybe just starting their first job, this fall, and they're, excited to enter into the field of education. This could be a veteran teacher who's been in the classroom for 20 plus years. What type of advice do Teach Better Talk listeners need to really serve their students in the best way possible?
I am going to have to go with, I've been holding this one near and dear to me for a while now. You have to check your heart and your mind daily. You always have to reflect on why you teach, how you teach. Are you providing the best teaching experience for your students? I always tell, even when I was a fourth grade teacher to now in a college classroom, I always tell my students when I was teaching fourth grade, I am responsible for giving you the best fourth grade experience you've ever had in your life, because hopefully I will be your only fourth grade teacher. When I walk into the college classroom, I say that day one, I am responsible for giving you the best experience that you will have here at ISU, because I feel like that is what you deserve. And I'm trying to show you what that experience looks like, so then you can take that experience and you can make it or imitate it and make it your own. So that starts though with me doing heart and mind work. I have to make sure my motives are right. And I ask teachers to do that all the time. Check your heart, check your mind. We're human first. So we're going to carry bias. We're going to carry, different stereotypes are like smog that we breathe in. Those things are going to be applicable to many situations, but we have to be able to check both our heart and our mind and make sure that we're in this for the right reason. So I ask that you reflect on a daily basis.
Wow, we're going to take that clip right there, Ray, and we're just going to I'm going to virtually push it into everyone's virtual office and just have it on repeat.
I was just going to say, play it on repeat. Yes, I was thinking
I wrote down to check your heart and mind daily. I'm like, I love that. And then you went into this other stuff about how it all loops together. But I love how you're saying that you tell your students, my job is to give you the best fourth grade experience possible. And now your job is to give those teachers their best experience possible. And in this role, you are also totally modeling how they should be doing that, because they should be just taking exactly what you're saying to their students. And I love that. And that's what that's the job, right? Is to be the best, giving them the best experience possible.
I do have to tell you, Jeff, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I do want to give a shout out here, because you not only say these things, but I've seen them in action. And just specifically in the instance that I had that you were facilitating a conversation with the staff, I mean, you are leading a room full of teachers during an Institute Day. Our teachers know you're listening. Institute Days, you're either bought in or you are just trying to get through the day, right? It is not necessarily a time that teachers are necessarily really invested in. We are, sometimes they're just meetings and it is what it is. and you come in to lead a presentation, and you modeled that same nature for educators that you're working with too at the school that I'm at, because you not only shared information, but you were extremely dynamic, and you did activities that really forced us to be invested in the topic. And I think that model of, this is how PD could go, but this is how I want to give you this full experience, this rich experience. It's how we teach in the classroom. I think that's so important that we facilitate those professional development opportunities for teachers, where teachers become the students, and we give them kind of like the model of how we think instruction should go as well. So I love hearing the consistency in not only your stories, but also in how you support teachers all over. That's powerful.
Oh, thank you.
Shamaine, she's a lot nicer to you than she is to me. I just put that down.
And I wonder why.
Anyway, all right. Let's.
She's currently wearing a Team Ray shirt. That's why.
Absolutely.
Love it.
Anyway, let's go. These next 6 questions. We have a little bit of fun with it. We're gonna do each one. Your goal is to answer each one with 15 seconds or less. You good?
Got it. Ready.
All right. What is one ed tech tool you cannot live without?
YouTube.
Give us a book you're reading right now.
How to Be Anti-Racist by Ibram Kendi.
And who should we follow on Twitter or Instagram today? You can give us up to 3.
At Dr. Porcher, Porcher, at Dr. TMP, and at Black Gays Pod, POD.
Give us a good YouTube channel or website for educators.
I'm going to go with website, and I'm going to add Teaching Tolerance and Teaching for Change.
Give us a daily, weekly, or monthly routine every teacher should get into.
An equity check. Reflect daily on how you are showing up in the classroom.
And give us the best piece of advice you've ever received.
You do not have to be on every tackle. Everything is not for you.
Oh.
She nailed it.
She gets the trophy. We're handing out a Teach Better Talk trophy.
I was just about to say, is there a prize that I can...
There is a legendary Teach Better Talk trophy.
It is it's definitely legendary.
It's legendary.
It might be legendary and imaginary.
Yeah. It's I don't know if it's a legendary story or a myth, but it's there. And you two are both close, so she can just drop it off somewhere at ISU, and then you can go pick it up. We'll keep social distance, and it'll be fine.
We do need to figure out, though, Jeff, who is the last person we gave that Teach Better Talk podcast trophy to? Because I think they still have it. We got to ship it now.
I've got I think I have a challenge. If you're listening right now and you can remember what was the last episode that we gave out the trophy and who got it, tag Ray and I and share that out, and I'll send you a free copy of Teach Better, the book.
And Jeff will send you a Teach Better team t-shirt.
How cute is that?
Just for fun.
Yeah. So let us know what it is, because I honestly don't remember. It's been a while since we've done it, I think, since we've said it.
I know. We've had some great episodes, but trophy worthy is a big deal.
Yeah, we're going to have to go, metaphorically steal from them. Anyway, that's not the right word for that, but you know what I mean. Okay, she gets the trophy. That's the point right now.
I love it. Well, I want to make sure that everybody can stay connected to you, because truly, I've said it a bunch before, so I'll stop embarrassing myself. I really appreciate the work you're doing. I have benefited from the work you continue to do, and I'm just so thrilled that you have officially joined the Teach Better family and our speakers network, because you're an outstanding addition that we have. Would you mind kind of sharing how our listeners can stay connected?
Absolutely. Please hit me up on Twitter at Dr.S_Bertrand, BERTRAND. You can log on to Facebook and hit me up there, Shamaine Bertrand. And you can also check out my articles on Google Scholar if you want to see the type of work that I am producing. And last but not least, I do have a podcast launching May 15th, the Black Gays Podcast. So either way, please follow me and hit me up.
Okay, I gotta ask really quick before we wrap it up. Tell us about the podcast. Can you give us the quick overview of the podcast coming up?
Absolutely. Me and one of my close friends who is also a professor, we have taken the work of Toni Morrison, who uses the term the white gaze, and we have flipped that into what would happen if we were to center Blackness and multiculturalism. And so we have created this opportunity for Black women in the Academy to begin to have conversations about things that we are experiencing. And then it's also open to all listeners because it really gives great insight into things that are happening not only in the Black community, but how to also heal and be liberated.
I love it. So this episode is actually coming out on the 14th, which means your podcast launches the next day. So that's perfect.
Oh my gosh, look at that. So perfect.
Really well. I do what I can, you know.
You are the best.
So, you can find all the links, all the resources, everything we mentioned in this episode over at teachbetter.com, as well as for those really important links for connecting with Shamaine and continuing your conversation with her, as well as finding that new podcast that launches tomorrow while you're listening to this. So make sure you head over to the show notes at teachbetter.com for all of that. Be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. And if you can give us a rating and review, we'd really appreciate that as well. And let's keep taking this one step further. Think of just 3 of your colleagues who need to hear these amazing stories and connect with these amazing educators and share this podcast with them. Shamaine, this was awesome. So happy to have you as part of the family and to have you on here. Really appreciate you taking some time, chatting with us, always having fun with us, and just being here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Until next time, let's get out there. Let's teach better.